everybody, and welcome back to the workshop. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about what's been going on in the last 3 weeks of being in the shop. We've actually been making stuff. So let's jump on in. I'll show you what is different. So this is the sort of thing that we've been working on for the last kind of week and a half or so. Lots of forge time. These are all 200 or 300 layers, playing out with different thicknesses, different widths, stuff like that, different patterns. We've got all kinds of fun stuff going on here. And it's been a lot of fun learning the different ways to use this equipment. The different quirks with the forge, the different quirks with the power hammer, how to use the rolling mill, how big of a bite can you take, all of that stuff. Now we've got a couple of billets at a buddy's shop getting surface ground right now, and those are some of the other patterns that we're pretty excited about. And it's all kind of moving towards doing our first product drop, which we still haven't decided what it's going to be. We first decided it was going to be kiridashis, then we thought steak knives, and now we're not sure which one of the two would be the better thing to drop. But either way, we're going to need lots of Damascus to be able to do it. Now, some of the things that have changed in here, the rolling mill is in a different position. It's really easy to come out of the forge and go straight into the rolling mill now, or into either of the hammers. And something that is going to have to change, because we just got it wired up last night, is we got Matt's Coal Ironworks press with the digital press controller. Over here, we replaced the Yang press with it, and so it'll be a lot easier to dimension our billets. So getting our dimension thickness-wise is really easy with the press and the rolling mill, but getting the dimension width-wise, not so much. So that's mainly what we're going to be using this press for. Matt is currently working on a set of dies to help out with the straightening process too, because as it turns out, and you may find this hard to believe, straightening a piece of 2200 degree steel that is 3/16 of an inch thick and 4 feet long is a literal nightmare. So our first straightening process was just kind of going between the rolling mill to the Yang to the anvil and kind of trying to hand tap it straight, but that just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. And then this morning I decided to try taking these two I-beams right here and putting billets in between it and then going like this and sitting on it. And that worked good for the first couple of billets. And then the I-beams got hot and they warped and it stopped working so good. And so Matt's working on those straightening dies now. They're 14 inches long. 1 inch thick plate that will be able to feed it back and forth. Now hopefully 14 inches is enough to get a billet straightened, but in other news, we've learned that having a long distance relationship with the things inside of the forge is a really good idea. Even with the fan blowing here as kind of an air curtain, being able to reach in with a really long pair of tongs like these ones that I brought down from my home shop is very handy. I have burnt off the arm hair on both of my arms and a bunch of hair off of the floof at the front of my hair. Many times now, like an embarrassing amount of times, almost every day that we've been forging. In other news, we're getting our process down for doing stack ups in between layers. So after we've done our initial stack up, about 24 layers is what we've done for most of our billets. We've been coming over here, chopping it up, and throwing it into this schnasty bucket right here, which is muriatic acid. And muriatic acid will eat away the forge scale, but for the most part, leave the steel itself. And so we can come straight out of the rolling mill, once the billet is reasonably flattened, chop it up into a bunch of small pieces, throw it in there, and then not have to do any grinding in between our different stack ups, which means that we're saving steel and we're saving time, because we don't have to spend any time with an angle grinder or the surface grinder getting stuff flat, and we get perfect welds because it's down to completely bare steel, which is awfully cool. In other news, the office is about ready to get moved into. Matt's wonderful wife did a fantastic job painting in here. It's fiddlehead fern green, which you guys could probably all tell, and then black trim, so it looks just fantastic. So we need to figure out what to put in here. Probably a couch, because this room with that mini split gets way colder than the upstairs office. And when you're forging all day, it's so hot, just dying. Having a nice space to come and cool down will be nice. We'll need to find a couch that is resistant to dirty shop clothes, because you get power hammer grease, you get forge scale, you get all kinds of stuff all over yourself when you're out there working, and so we want to be able to come in and sit down for a minute without wrecking the furniture. Now that's kind of it. Things in this area are generally the same. We haven't bought any more equipment that we need to move in here yet. Things are still a little bit of a mess over there. We just don't know what to do with everything yet, I guess. What to do with everything yet. Did I say that right? We need to start hanging up our artwork in the office and hangout room as well. Well, Matt's been working on these dies. Matt, what do you got going on here?
I have successfully butchered up a pair of Cole Ironworks flat dies and added a longer extension so we can flatten our Damascus billets.
Matt has been doing lots of the forge work in the last week. He's done most of the billet welding. He's done most of the uncomfortable stuff while I've been sitting in the cool office. It's been terrible.
Don't forget the angle grinder.
And angle grinding. I haven't angle grinded anything yet. He's the one that got these first couple of billets prepped and ready. These were the first 3 steak knife prototypes just to have a look at some of the patterns. We got the random pattern. This is what we're calling the beaver tail pattern, and then the wood grain pattern. Now these are all too thin. Our actual steak knives will be probably somewhere in about the 200 thou thick range, but this gives us a really good idea of the layer densities per thickness. Here's the deal. Actual layer count doesn't matter because 100 layer, 1/8 inch thick material looks the same as 200 layer, 1/4 inch thick material. So really how I'd like to have this stuff measured, especially on our website and moving forward so that it's clear, is the layer density per inch. So if this is 75 layer per 1/8 inch, then what's 8 times 75, Matt?
Oh, man. 600. 600.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
Oh, dude. Heck
you nailed it. 600 layers per inch, which means that if we wanted this same layer density, then we would do 150 layer for 1/4 inch because of science. So if you guys make Damascus or buy things out of Damascus, make sure to keep that in mind. Because also layer density doesn't matter at all, and people use it as a marketing scam. So those are just 3 of the patterns. We've got a couple different densities of ladder dies as well. Matt made a couple different sets of ladder dies, one fine, one thick. The thick one is easier to use, and it makes things laddered farther in, which is good.
More distortion.
It distorts things more, which sounds bad, but actually it's good. Because if you have too thin of a distortion, then it doesn't go all the way into the billet, and you're toast. Gluten-free toast, too, so extra bad. All right, now Matt and I took a quick trip to the water jetter. Cool operation. I think he's going to be a good guy to work with. I've also been doing a little bit of research and development, trying to figure out a process for doing cigar ashtrays. Cigar ashtrays are just a super, super fun thing to make. If you have a big power hammer or a giant press, you kind of have to try making it just because they're super neat. So that's good. Playing around with a couple different textures, see how they look as you kind of smoosh it down. I really like this one and a couple of the other ones we've been doing. In other news, I drove to Idaho recently and picked up this giant vise. This is 7-inch jaw, Prentice 23 swivel jaw. Look at how much that swivels. It's amazing. It's been beat up. It's been beat on pretty hard. It came out of the Union Pacific Railroad yard there, and unfortunately, 2 of the feet have been broken off. The tail of the vise has been cracked, and none of that is good stuff. So we're going to get that sorted out in another video. We're going to be doing a full repair on this, getting it ready for service in the grinding room. It'll be the perfect grinding vise for us because it has that swivel jaw. It kind of adapts to different shapes if there's a taper or something like that. It's the big brother. It's the 50-pound heavier version of the vise that I have at my home shop in my grinding room. And it came on this really cool railroad stand. So this is an original roundhouse railroad vise stand. They were made specifically for holding vices for the railroad. Now, unfortunately, this one is the super tall style, and so it's just not useful for what we're doing. Super neat, heavy piece of cast iron, but unfortunately the vise jaws sit about that high, which is just like kind of too high to really do heavy vise work in my opinion, but it's a super neat collector's item. I actually already sold this to a vise collector buddy of mine, and so I'm going to ship it down to Albuquerque, New Mexico soon. But there's actually another one of these that I'm going to be doing a trade for, and so looking forward to that. And one of the last things is we got our first couple billets back from surface grinding, and I'm totally excited. I think my favorite one is the 300 layer random pattern. It looks really good. I'm doing a test kiridashi out of it right now. Got a really nice pattern on the face of it, and then it kind of goes to like kind of thinner waves right down the middle, which I really like. This is 200 thou thick stock, and I think this is going to be the final form of the kiridashi. It's a little bit bigger than the first ones that we did, a little bit thicker. I think it's going to be super, super nice. It feels great in the hand. Feels really comfortable in a grip like that. The kind of pen grip feels comfortable like that. It's very good. I'm excited about that. Then we've got what we're going to call our beaver tail pattern. It's kind of a checkering pattern using the laddering dies. Then we've got the full-length ladder, is what we're calling it. It kind of looks like a wood grain, and so we tried it with 2 different dies. This is the tighter of the 2 dies. This is the wider one, and I think the wider one looks a lot better. That's just my opinion. But we're going to play around, make a couple knives out of them, see how it looks with bevels on there. But yeah, we're just going to keep on going, testing out our Damascus experiments, figuring out how to get the pattern to go deeper, how to nail down our processes using this equipment. It's all very, very, very fun. So I feel super blessed to have Matt on the team. He's a super hard worker. So is Isaiah. I would never say it to his face, though. But he's great. And thank you guys so much for supporting and following along. So make sure that you subscribe to the email list, and that way you can be first to be notified as we start to release products. It's been a couple days since we filmed the first part of the video, and I'm really leaning towards doing kiridashis. These are just a really fun, very neat item that kind of fits our product ethos of neat items, thoughtfully designed, and built intentionally. And so this has a weird blend of, it's got kind of a specific use case, and in the traditional sense it's a Japanese marking knife, but in a broader sense it's just a fun, just good tool to have around. And so I'm really excited about these guys, and they're going to be a little bit more doable for us to produce from the get-go, especially with these giant stacks of steel. I think these are going to be some of the first billets that we're going to be putting towards doing kiridashis from. Matt just walked out with another big old stack of steel. This is going to be 1 billet. It'll be 300 layers, or just a touch shy of that, like 280 layers, which is fantastic. So stay tuned for that stuff. Go ahead, check out the website, like and subscribe, hit the notifications so you can be the first to be notified as we drop new videos, talking about the whole process of what's going on here, doing the new vice restoration, and all other sorts of tomfoolery and shenanigans, hijinks. So thank you guys. Thank you to our patrons for supporting us, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.